That's fine. I feel like that's fine. It's not like prerequisite information that you need for anything if you're not a clay artist. Clay comes from the earth. You can probably find some anywhere where there were rivers or streams or anywhere near a water source where water was able to erode rock over time. Then you get really fine sediment and it will turn into clay. And it's not just rock. You will obviously have other things that are naturally occurring in your soil, like decomposed organic materials. Yeah, maybe some poo. I know people keep saying poo, but like that is a natural part of soil. And the different minerals and heavy metals that you might find in your soil will change what your clay looks like when it fires. It'll also change what temperature you're able to fire it to in the kiln. So when I was saying that our clay might melt, it might melt because it depends on the structure of the clay body itself, what temperature it can sustain in the kiln without melting. A lot of people also brought up that I should be adding sand to this clay, and I think what they're getting at is that sometimes you want to add something like sand or crushed brick to a wild clay to add a temper to it so that it doesn't crack as it's drying. But what we have learned about this natural clay that my student got is that it has really nice elasticity, and this is on its way to drying out, and we don't have any cracks forming. So before I add sand or any kind of additive to this clay, I want to see what it does on its own. I know everyone really wants an update, but the clay process is a slow one. I am going to be loading the kiln today, and I imagine that the clay from our first firing will be out early next week. So we'll be able to see if it melts at a bisque firing temperature, which is cone 05, by the beginning of next week. And it could, but I don't think so. Where I work, we do use mid-fire pottery, which we fire to about cone 5, which is a little over 2,000 degrees. I think it's like 2,167 degrees Fahrenheit. And since our glaze firing is going to be done to a higher temperature than our bisque firing, the likelihood that our wild clay is going to melt at the glaze firing temperatures is a lot higher. And if it does, then we learn that this is simply a low fire clay body that we need to fire at lower temperatures.